So Vivek takes a town hall in Cincinnati, Ohio, and he's talking about the indoctrination of the schools and what they're trying to enforce for students to learn, especially at the college level. Let's see his response on what a student was experiencing at her school. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Blue, and this is a channel where we find the truth, seek understanding, and be the light. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. This was not too long ago. Vivek Ramaswamy, he was actually a presidential candidate for this past election, and then he dropped off. Um, Honestly, it was because of him, and I've said this before. It was because of Vivek that my mindset really started to shift. I started to see things a little differently. Would I preferred Vivek better than President Trump? Yeah. Um, but he succeeded, and I think he realized that Trump had a hold of grip, and he did assist with Donald Trump. He did assist with Doge. He was one of the people that came up with the idea of Doge. He was and he plans on switching things up in the school system just to make sure that this idea of indoctrination is not happening. Now, one could say, oh, indoctrination is not happening anywhere, this, that, and the third. Well, I would say that if I hadn't worked in the school system and didn't see what was going on in the school system that I worked and didn't see all the things, all the changes that was happening, and like really looking at it, and I'm like, yo, school should have been the same. Like, there really shouldn't be that much change from when I was younger to now. Maybe some different new findings, some teachings and stuff like that. But the things that are shifting aren't new teachings. Well, it's not new findings, anything that's going to be, I don't know, beneficial to the student. It's more on the social aspect. And we send kids to school to have the social aspect, to just be able to talk with other students, not to have these ideologies just thrown at them. Anyways, let's go ahead and go right into it. So student reads out homework assignment to Vivek during a questionnaire about indoctrination. Let's do it.
I wrote it down so I wouldn't leave anything out. So I know there's been a lot of mention of the school system, and that there's no doubt that there has been a certain ideology that has been pushed in the classroom. We saw just a few weeks ago with Charlie Kirk that this mob mentality is pushing people towards violence, and that violence is being glorified if whoever the victim of the violence has opposing views.
Now, interesting thing about the whole Charlie Kirk situation is that it's seeming like there's more information that's coming out saying that Israel may have been involved in that, which is crazy. But let's go ahead. We'll leave that for another day once we get more information.
From you. So I am 19 years old. I'm currently a student at Mount St. Joe, and I know this issue is far beyond that. It's not just at my college. So we have had teachers at a school that has state and federal funding send out school-wide emails encouraging students to reach out to representatives on political issues. They send out template copy and paste emails saying, here's this, copy and paste it, put your name on it, send it to your representatives. The main one we got was for the Advance Ohio Higher Education Act, which was prohibiting DEI incentives in school, and it was supposed to ensure that students are allowed to come to their own conclusions without indoctrination. So if schools violate this, they are subjected to potential cuts to their funding. So we have teachers telling us that our beliefs make us fascist, racists, whatever labels they want to put on there. They are telling us what their political beliefs are, and they won't come out and say it just straight out, but they'll make little hints at it, or like under their breath, and everyone hears it and they know it. So an example is I had to take a speech class where this is a required class. I had to learn about the proper pronoun usage for people who are non-binary.
Because why?
I'm going to read off a homework assignment that I had to answer this question for a speech class. Karen wants to ban books with non-cisgendered characters from her local library. She gives a speech claiming that such books may cause her children to be groomed into choosing a non-cisgender identity. Which of the following strategies did Karen use to spread misinformation in this scenario?
This is crazy. There is no way. Situations like this, I would prefer to believe that this was fake. I would rather sit on the side of this is fake, because for this to be at the college level is insane. What are we teaching? Why are we teaching this? I don't get it.
So we know that there's violence being pushed because they're saying, the people who don't agree with this narrative that's being pushed, they're Nazis, they're fascists, they're this, that, and the other. And then they go ahead and they glorify, because we saw with Charlie Kirk, all these teachers came out and they supported it, they celebrated it. So my question is, knowing that this isn't just an issue at my school, what will you do to ensure that the schools are complying with the state and federal laws and not pushing ideologies onto students?
Thank you for sharing that question and the courage to give the detail. I mean, when you read that out, it's more than just you usually hear about it at a high level, but when you hear that down to, I mean, let's just be honest. I don't think they chose Karen unintentionally, right? I mean, what a loaded way to sort of ask that question. After turning it into an epithet, then they make a hypothetical, we're just calling Karen, after we actually completely stigmatized the use of that as a name. It highlights this devious, twisted ideology that puts us in a tough position. Here's the tough position we're in, right? I'll give an analogy in the old war on terror, in the post-2001 era. The hard thing is, the other side in that war on terror, they're willing to do things that our side isn't willing to do. They would kill women and children, kill innocent civilians. We still have to ultimately achieve victory, and yet we're constrained because we can't do the same things the other side does. And if we did adopt their methods, then we wouldn't be who we are. We'd lose what we're fighting for in the first place, right? And so that's the challenge we have ahead of us, is that the intolerance of the other side for alternative dissent is still faced up against those of us who have our strong, speaking for myself and several of ourselves on stage here, conservative beliefs, still must do it in a way that respects the other side's ability to speak, but without actually turning that into its own indoctrinating weapon. So the answer to your question is, how do we do it? We do it not by imitating their methods. We do it by following the law. The law has been crystal clear that you cannot profile in our universities or indoctrinate based on discrimination on the basis of race or gender or sexual orientation. The idea that if you break those rules, there are actually consequences, that those are not restraints on speech or the expression of an opinion, but actually following the laws that are already on the books that provide for equal protection under the law. And then a lot of it's going to have to come from courageous voices like yourself. You're 19, sophomore?
Yes, technically a junior.
Technically a junior. All right, she's a little bit ahead of her age. Okay. So I'll throw it back at you, because hopefully those of us on this stage, we're aspiring to be leaders in a formal capacity. You can be a leader in your own capacity too. In fact, we're counting on you to be a leader. All right. When you are, I'm going to make an ask of you. Mount St. Joe's. When you're the only person in a room, including a teacher or a so-called professor, when you're the only person in a room who believes what you do, you have an obligation as a citizen, now more than ever, to stand up and to say it. Say it with a spine. Say it with conviction, as you did today. Say it with respect. But part of respect is actually telling your fellow neighbors what you actually think, not some fake woke-washed version of it. Right? So if you step up and you do your part, because none of us can do that part for you, the job of us as leaders is to make sure that you have still the continued ability to do it without fear for retaliation from your university or without safety for your health. That's what our deal is tonight. And if you keep your end of the bargain, I promise you we're going to do ours. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And that's the thing that I like about Vivek. He wants to do everything by the books. He wants to uphold the law. The issue that comes with that is that you have those that try to uphold the law, but those with power can kind of cause some manipulation in the back end in order to prevent certain things from happening or prevent that law from being upheld. We see that happen all the time. But the important thing for Vivek is that we uphold the law. We hold to what is true. and we do things that we can on an individual level and move forward. And which is one of the things that kind of attracted me towards being conservative is the actual idea of progressive. Because per my understanding, and again, before this progressive term started taking flight in the direction that it is, when I was in school, progression means gradually moving on to the next step, some type of graduation or something like that, being in a different space in which you were before, a change for the better. If anything, a change for the better, progressive, not regressive. It involves some type of development, growth, progressive. So when I'm thinking about the conservative ideology, it's more so on the ideas of progression, self development, self growth, being able to produce something and have weight on something and be able to have something to call your own and then do what you can with it. But for some odd reason, the term progressive changed into a matter of just different. Doesn't mean gradual, doesn't mean advancing. It I don't know, maybe like extra terrestrial or something like that. I just don't I don't know how that shift happened with progressive. But when it comes to this conservative mindset, it's the idea of speaking on what is truth, and the old-fashioned definition of progressive being able to move forward and advancing one individual self in life with little help of the government. That's all it is. Government should be focusing on government stuff, roads, parks, I don't know. They may have a program here and there to help those that are really, really struggling, but it shouldn't be the way that it is right now, in my opinion. At least where we're at in America right now, we shouldn't be worrying about certain stuff. But I digress. Y'all let me know in the comment section, which I think I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Take it easy, peace.